All right, so what I was saying, the MACD is the difference between the 12-day exponential moving average and the 26-day exponential moving average. And the thick line represents the 9. That is the 9-day moving average of the MACD. What it does, it's a momentum indicator. So when a stock or an index is rising, the 12-day EMA will be higher than the 26-day EMA, and the MACD will be positive above the 0 line. What I find great of the MACD indicator is that as prices put in higher highs, the MACD will sometimes put in a lower reading. So sometimes the price action looks really strong, but the MACD gives a different signal, which could mean there's a top. Like here, the blue line gives a bearish momentum. So when it gets above the red line, we know there's a big chance the price of the stock will drop. I shared this image, so I hope you guys have read it and understand it. It's a very easy tool to scalp for the 1 to 5 minutes, but personally I don't like to scalp on short time frames because the risk is just way higher. As you can see, at that point the line crossed. The line got below the other line, so that means there will be an uptrend. So let's say you were planning to scalp, you could have bought a long position at, if you bought it at the top at 63.95. And if you did a good job, you could have sold somewhere here, which is, yeah, just a great result. It's still below, but as you can see, the price action looks really strong at the moment, but the lines are really closing into each other, which could mean there will be momentum and the market could turn bearish again. What I probably think will happen, actually. If you have any questions, just type them in the chat and I will answer them, of course. Another indicator which is a great tool for scalping and to see if a price is overbought is the RSI. Personally, I like to use higher time frames because the lower the time frame, the less real the outcome will be. If you use a high time frame, the probability of it happening is just way better. It's just more reliable because lower time frames can just put you in the wrong direction. But RSI, it's basically quite an easy indicator. Below the 30 regions, it's just oversold. So if you can get in below that, it's just an easy long position, especially on the longer time frames. Because if you want to scalp like 7 trades a day, which is never a good idea, that means you have to be right a lot of the times, and it just gives little room for error. If you work with higher time frames like I do, usually a trade before I get in the position and before I sell a position, it's a time frame of, let's say, 2 to sometimes 20 hours before I sell a position, because it just gives you much more room for error and to get into the position you like. Hey Timo, I use the numbers that are already in because those are set for the current market and they're just good. I adjust the numbers for the Ichimoku indicator and I will show that in a second. Just like I said, Kevin, the RSI is reliable on lower time frames as well, but it just gives a false signal sometimes. I find it really reliable from 2 hours and above, but I also use the 1 hour, which is just to buy and sell at the top or at the bottom. It's just a great tool to get into the right price, just as the MACD indicator is. The MACD is a beautiful tool to just time the bottom. A lot of times when the trend changes and the line are about to cross, as you can see here, it's a great time to get in because most of your trades will be good. I believe that using only the MACD indicator and the RSI is good enough to be a profitable trader. As you can see, there's also signals in the RSI chart. It's a little bit tiny over here. But when you see momentums like this happening and just the tops get lower, there is a bearish divergence. And even though it's still in a bullish region, you know there's going to be trouble ahead. So you just have to get out of there. And when it gets above 70, well, sometimes in the crypto sphere, that's not even true. I like to use 75 mainly before it really drops. And I have seen the RSI at 5, so that is really crazy. But if you get in there, you know you're gonna make a good trade on a long run. So don't aim to trade within a half an hour, but if you get in that position and you stay there for 4 or 5 hours, you can get out with a profit. That's almost certain. But the indicator that I personally like the most is the Ichimoku indicator. It is quite an difficult indicator to understand, but it's one of the most reliable indicators in my opinion. It's like the deadlift in the gym. Most people don't use it, but it's so effective. I will show you how to set it right. Normally, the standard settings are 9, 26, 25, 26. But since this is a market that is open 24 hours a day, of 365 days a year, you should adjust it to the time frame. So put first on 20, we put the trading days a month of 30. This one you just double it, you put it on 60. And this one we put it on 120. Just a minute, guys. I think no, I should put this one 30. All right. Well, what it actually does, it gives a cloud. I'll put it on a higher time frame. All right. What it basically does, it shows you where is the resistance and where's the support. When the cloud is, this is the green baseline, this is the red baseline. When the green one is above the red one, the cloud also gets green. That means we're in a positive market when it gets above the cloud. Also, at the same time, it's a resistance. So now we are below the cloud, so it's a resistance. You can see that here it has a lot of struggle to just get into the cloud. But when it finally get in there, you see there are 3 attempts. My main focus is when it gets 3 times rejected or gets in after the first attempt. It's just a very strong signal that that is going to hold and we'll put on with it. So as you can see, a failed attempt, a failed attempt. First time it gets through and it just stays in. If it just stays in for the next 3 attempts like this, there is so many bullish momentum, and you can know for sure this will be a support line instead of a resistance line. And now we're getting at a fun part. If it stays within these regions for the next 12 o'clock, so let's say 2 o'clock, and it's above 3636, then will we have double support here. This also shows, and that is the beauty of the Ichi cloud, it shows the future support as well and the future resistance. So that's why it's a tool I really like to use. It's just so reliable to use because of all the trends and momentum that's calculated within the trend line. Let me see if you guys have any questions. Oh yes, Timo, the volume bars is one of the most important things for trading, in my opinion. When a move happens, the volume indicates the significance of the move. Sometimes when the order book is thin, we'll tend to just move the price up or down. So by seeing a move, and like here, it just has a high volume, you can validate that the move was real. It wasn't just a fake out by a whale playing with the order book, but it just validates a move. What we try to do in trading, we want to validate every movement we see. So when something happens, we see, all right, is the volume good enough? Yes, the volume is good enough. What does the MACD indicator say? It says actually, well, this is a reversal trend. So that's also an indicator that it will happen. And also when we look at the RSI at the moment the move happened, it was at 44. So that was just in a neutral state, so that doesn't validate anything, but you're just always looking for validation. What happened, what is going to happen, and can we validate it? And that's where volume comes in. Volume is very important to validate it. Also in the ICHIMOKU cloud, the volume is also calculated in. Let me see, what do you mean by double support? Well, as you can see, the cloud is red because the green line is below the red line, which still means there's bearish momentum. When we get past that moment and we're here, this line will be a support, and this line will also be support. So when we get into the cloud, we will still be neutral, but since it's still a bullish cloud, there is a chance we will go through. But from this point forward, that is on the 15th, that's way ahead. If you're still above this line here, we are in a very bullish moment. So now we are in quite of a no trade zone because there will be resistance here and there will be support here. So there is a difference of 6,463. It's just not a moment you want to get into a trade. So that's very important. It's a mistake I've also made a lot. You want to trade, you are eager to trade, so you start to think, all right, what can I find so that gives me a good reason to get into a trade? But you don't want to do that. One of the biggest mistakes is over trading when you start trading. So just be sure your signals are all correct, and that way you can get in good for a trade. So at this moment, I would say don't get into a trade. On the daily, it still says even though the price action looks really strong, it's still quite a bearish momentum because we are below the cloud, so we're still in a bearish trend. As you can see here, the regions will get lower, so this will be a much safer zone, but that is the end of the month. But that doesn't matter right now. On the 1 hour though, which I also find very reliable, you can see we are above it. So for quick scalping and even lower time frames, let's say the 30 minutes, the momentum is very bearish. So if you get into a position right now, make sure, and you want to scalp within a day, make sure it is a long position. If you want to get into position long term, which is very important, at this moment don't trade. If you just want to get into a position with not much of your stack for a couple of days, you can look for longer time frames. And you can say, well, we're still quite bearish, so it is a safe guess to say we won't get past this. There's resistance here, resistance here, resistance here. So there's a big chance that at the end of September 15th, we will be low against 63.15. So that is also good to keep in mind. Yes, Timo, we also look at different confirmations. What I said before, it is a great tool to just time the bottom and the top of the price action, but it doesn't completely validate it. You should keep in mind from, oh, something's happening here. What are we going to do? You see that the cross is happening right here. Then you're going to look for different indicators. And let's say you're going to also normally I use many more indicators, but I would like to start with the MACD and RSI, so I can't really get into that right now. But as you can see, where were we? It crossed here. Also, it doesn't validate it for RSI and for the Ichimoku because we're still below it. So it gives you a trend reverse, but it isn't validated yet. So you should be ready to get into a trade, but it is not validated yet. Also because of the volume here is just really low. As you can see, the momentum in the volume is gaining here. So this would actually be a good spot because the lines also get further apart from each other. In this hour, it's a good moment to go long. And as you can see, you could have made a huge leap into there. And here plays the resistance. This is very beautiful actually. You can see that it got into the cloud, but the resistance was just too hard and it got slammed out of it. It made another attempt, got rejected. Same here, same here, same here. Here it actually exactly touched the line and got rejected. So this is a great way to see on the 1 hour chart. I find this very reliable for the Ichimoku indicator, that it's just so hard to get past the rejection line. Rejection line. As you can see, it gets lower. You can see when you're in this hour, you can also see that the cloud here gets lower. As you can see here, it just acts perfectly on it and it gets rejected. So it's very easy to see after a couple of attempts, it doesn't get in to open a short position. So as I see, I usually use 3 attempts. It just validates a lot of power, or let's say there is no power. 1 rejection, 2 rejection, and here you can see it tries it again. So here it gets pulled back to, let's say here you can open a short at 6357, and this would be a good moment to close it, because at RSI you can see it's also gaining momentum, and there's also a trend reversal here for a short position. After that it gets in but doesn't get out of there, so you see another rejection here and here. And since the overall trend is still bearish, it's way safer to open a short position than a long position. When here it gets in, it stays in again, it gets out, and then it finally rises above the cloud, and you can see all of a sudden it is the support line instead of resistance line. So it gets up, gets down a little, touches the line, stays above. So it's just a very powerful tool for trading. Hi Chimo, I will use the EMA and the SEMA later because I can't explain it right now because I just wanted to go over the RSI, the MACD, and the ICHI because the EMAs will be something to just talk about on a different occasion because there's a lot to talk about and a lot to explain. And I've also made a sheet for you. I will share it in the announcement channel. Well, and that is basically the use of the MACD, the RSI. I think all of you know the RSI. Look at the moment, it is very high. So there is a good timing to go short on a short basis. Even though the MACD says something different, the RSI says go short here. How does it look for the 2 hour? Look, it's trying to get out of the ICHIMOKU cloud. If it gets rejected here, there is a big chance that it also gets rejected here, so we will go there. Next hour, we will go there. So this would be a great time to scalp a short. Oh yes, that's correct. I have them on because it is a powerful tool, but I will put them out for this moment. I'll explain it later how it works. Are there any more questions? And are you guys live trading already? If we could get above this cloud, it would be great for Bitcoin. Also, the resistance will be lowered. If you get below it, it is going to be a pain. Yes, I'm also scanning for chart patterns. There are some basic patterns. We all know the cup and handle. Recently, the the bar really got big, and after trading for a while, you just recognize certain patterns. But it's just because so many people understand and use it now. It's not very reliable. You can use it for the basic, but you should always use the technical indicators. And as I said, my favorite indicator is the Ichimoku. Not many people use it, but it's so powerful. When moon? Well, it depends on what time frame. Let's look for a long time frame. Let's say 1 week. We will moon when we get past, let's say, this looks like a good momentum right here. Above 10.8, 10.7. But that will be so far away in the future. So at the moment, we have to get above the 10,000 regions before we get into another bull market. So that will take some time, I'm sure. It's a shame that we just pierced through the cloud. It was looking great up until June, and then it just got wrecked again. All right, if you guys have no further questions, I would appreciate if you put some questions or indicators in the chat. Oh, what about the divergence in the RSI? Have you seen this chart before, this MSI chart? The RSI walks a certain line, as you can see here. In that, it's a chart on sich. That was my phone. And even though we're still in bullish regions, you can see because of the change in the trend line, the divergence, that we will go down. Let's see if we can see that happening live. It's so tame at the moment. No, I can't really show it in the chart at the moment. But just look for signals like this. Just the standard rule. If it gets below 30, but I would say more 25, and gets up 75, you know it's overbought or oversold. And also look for the standard patterns in the lines. Yes, you can spot a divergence, you can spot a reversal, absolutely. So even though sometimes the price action looks really strong, like here, it is just the regions are very bearish, or very bullish, I mean. But because of the divergence, you can just spot there will be a reversal, and then you see it just drops. So even though it is 60 plus, which is very bullish, you know that you can open a short position right here. So that is something to really look at in the chart. It is explained here. I hope you can read it. No problem. Yeah, I don't really use the stock tactics a lot because I think the MACD and RSI do exactly the same thing, but they are more on point. No problem, Kevin. It's my first live stream, so it's a bit weird for me still, but I enjoy taking the time and just share this with you and answer some questions. So if you have more questions, you can, or some questions for the next stream, maybe an indicator you want to get explained, or see how something works at the moment, just ask me and I will use it. I will talk to you about it, and I will answer all the questions you have. I hope this stream helps some of you guys, and I would really advise to start using the ICHIMOKU cloud. It's just an awesome tool. Don't forget to adjust it to these settings, because this is adjusted to the current market we're in. And we can't use the default because that is used for the normal stock prices, and those are open 5 days a week for like 8 hours. So it just different measures you have to use. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and I will now shut it down if I find out how to.